I want to make 10,000 euros worth of crochet plushies for my busy season this year, and here's how I'm going to do it. Hi, my name is Veronica and I run a small business called loopingteddys where I make and sell crochet plushies, and I have big goals this year. So as I just told you, I want to make 10,000 euros worth of plushies for my busy season, which kind of starts in the middle of October and goes all the way till the end of the year. So we still have quite a lot of time to prep for that, but I really want to do the groundwork now to really know what I have to do every single week and have a good chance of actually completing those huge goals. So let's get started and let's plan my inventory for this year. So my biggest goal this year is to try and break my cycle of being underprepared for my busy season, then being super stressed for like 3 months straight, and then after the busy season falling into like a huge motivational hole and not crocheting for 2 months. So I really want to kind of break that up this year and really be prepared. So what I want to do is kind of plan my weeks out until middle of October, which is like my first goal because that is when my next market is. And then we kind of have like a check-in there and then know what we have to do for the next 4 weeks until the like actual busy season starts after the fall markets. So today is May 31st, which seems like the perfect day to plan something out like this because tomorrow June is starting. We will be starting with the prep and going week by week. I have 19 weeks until my next market and I will try and visualize that kind of like around me. We will see what I can do in editing, but I really want to like kind of animate my goals for this year around here. So we have 19 weeks until my next market, and ideally until then I would have 10,000 euros of inventory. Not sure if that is doable, but we will try and do our best. I also want to take inventory of what's currently left from my spring market to kind of see what the difference is, so what I currently have and how much we need to make in those 19 weeks. And then I recently took some time at one of my sadly not so busy spring markets to completely plan out my ideal inventory, which is of course way over 10,000 euros, but those would be my ideal numbers where I would say I don't have to stress at all during the busy season and basically don't have to do anything. That's not the goal. I still want to crochet during the busy season, but I like to kind of overplan and then know what I have to do. So the way I want to work in the next 19 weeks is basically make one type of plushie every single week. So let's just take, for example, turtles, which I think will be next week. So the first week of actually working on this inventory. So let's say we will take turtles for a week. So for 7 days straight, I will try and make as many turtles as possible on my ideal inventory, which I just have on my phone. I have planned to make 40 turtles for my ideal inventory. So 40 would be the goal, which is kind of a lot for a week. So I don't think that I will actually get that done. But for those 40 turtles, I will plan out exactly what colors I want to make. So let's say just how many blues I want to make, how many beige with green shells, for example, I want to make. So I will plan all of that out and then know exactly what I want to do. And that really keeps me motivated and that really makes me work quicker. So that is what I want to do. And then for a week, we make as many turtles as we can. So let's say we end up making 20 turtles in that week. That's not the ideal inventory, but it's a start. And then the next week we start making something else. And then after I've worked on each type of plushie I want to make for a week, we will be at, I think, around like 11 weeks or so. So we still have a lot of time left to go back and make some more of the ones where I didn't really make all that many, or I want to have just a couple more because every week is different. Sometimes I might have more time to crochet and get a bigger amount of plushies done, and sometimes maybe we just get 5 done. So in those last weeks before my next market, I can go back and up the inventory of those where I didn't get a ton done. So not sure if that all makes sense, but that is kind of how I think I like to work. I really like to keep it very structured, and that really makes me motivated and work quicker. I also want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to follow along with that. So right now in the video description, you will find my plan for my turtles in a Canva template. So you will have the link to the pattern, what I sell them for, and then my exact plan with colors. So if you also have big inventory goals this year, you can just follow along with that and try out if this method works for you as well, and let me know if that actually helps. So I will try and keep that up throughout this challenge and leave those links for the type of plushie that I'm working on every week down in the description below to make it really easy to follow along. So that is kind of the goal, and let me actually read off my plan for this next almost half a year that's coming up. So as I told you, this is my ideal inventory. This is not at all every single thing that I want to make. I know it's unrealistic and I will not get that done, but that's just how I work. I like to overplan and then not really reach the goals, because then I know if I have more time what I can work on next, if that makes sense. So let's start off with mini plushies. These are my biggest seller, as you probably know if you've been to my channel before. And my plan for those is to work on those over the course of July. So the whole July is blocked off for mini plushies and making a new mini plushie challenge. So I want to have 500 mini plushies in total. We will have to take inventory on the mini plushies. I have quite a lot of them left from spring, so I'm not sure how many I actually need to make, but 500 would be the ideal number for those. And I have 4 types of mini plushies that I sell in my booth. The most popular are mini penguins and baby octos, so I want to have 150 of each of those. Then I want to have 110 of the baby whales and 90 of the chicks with hats. So those would be the ideal numbers, and every single week before I start making the plushies, I will plan out what colors I want to make based on what has been selling well the past years. So that is basically my plan for July laid out right there. Make as many of these plushies as I can. Then for bigger plushies, here are the complete numbers. For my chubby birds, which are, I guess, my best seller after mini plushies, I want to make 80 chicks, because these are like the least popular out of the chubby birds, 110 mallard ducks, and 200 penguins, because those are especially popular during the winter season. And I have a couple of different color variations that I make them in, so regular, pink, purple, and blue. And we will plan those out. Once we get to those, I might do 2 weeks of penguins because of this huge number. But I also have started to prep quite a lot of bodies for those in the past couple of weeks. I haven't finished them up. They're just like the crocheted shell of the body, if that makes sense. So we will see what we do for those. Then I have Brontosaurus. I have 40 of those, 40 turtles, so a week for each of those for now, and then we shall see how much we get done. Then we have 30 bees, which is, I think, like an easier week. I can definitely get that done in a week. I've done that before, so I might do that when I have a really busy week coming up, or possibly when I'm on vacation at the end of June. I might do the bee week there, because I think I can get that done even when I don't have a ton of time to crochet. Then next up is a huge one. So we have 100 capybaras. So those have been so popular ever since I started making them that I really want to stock up on those. Not sure how many I can actually get done in a week. So that might be a type of plushie that we need to circle back on once we've gone through all of the different types of plushies for the first time around. Then we have 30 hoodie bears. So that is kind of like the biggest plushie that I want to bulk prep for a week. So we shall see how many of those I can get done in a week. I think it's going to be realistically more like 10 or so, and that might be pushing it. So we shall see about that. Then we have 100 cats. So another really popular type of item that we might need to circle back on for a second time around, just because of those numbers. but I really want to stock up on those. And I think that would be like a very fun video to do, a little random like spin the wheel cat challenge or something like that. So stay tuned for that. So that might be coming up. And then we have a new type of plushie, which I've actually never made before, which are axolotls, because as you probably know, those are really, really popular with little kids. So I've been actually asked quite a lot if I have any. So I want to bulk prep those, even though I've never brought them to a market before, for this busy season. And for now, I want to make 50 of those. Not sure which pattern I will use. I guess if you have a really nice axolotl pattern that you always make, leave a comment down below. I might check that out because I don't know what pattern to use currently. So 50 of those if I can get those done. So I just counted it out again, and it's actually 15 weeks that we will be busy doing it the way I just described. So we have 4 weeks at the end where we can stock up again with some types of plushies where I didn't get a ton done. And in those 4 final weeks, we can also work on some bigger plushies like the giraffe I used to make, a cow maybe, a bigger whale, dogs, something like that. Just anything that I really want to work on, I can get done in those 4 weeks. So that is the plan. If we got everything done that I just read off to you, we're at 14,000 euros, so way over my 10,000 euro goal. As I said, not really possible to do that in the amount of time that I have, but we shall see how much we can actually get done. And for now, before we start this challenge next week, I actually want to pull out my inventory that I have left over from my spring markets and go through that, write down all of the plushies that I currently have left to see how many I need to make. So let me prep my desk and pull that out, and we can go through that. Okay, so I actually have some crates in here from my last market. Let me just put those to the side, and then we will just go through what's in here at the beginning of every week, so I know what I have in my inventory. I might also take a picture of what's in here so that I really know what I already have and not remake too much of one color. So let's go, and I might just actually dump this out here. All right, so we have some chicken in here, and I don't have any of those planned because first of all, I have quite a lot of them here and they really don't sell all that well. So we have 4 in this berry color, 2 in this beige, and then 1 in this dark gray. And I think that's really enough of those for the winter season. As I said, they're not really popular and it's not really the right season for those. And then we have some more like one-off plushies that I have here. So we have this bigger turtle. It's like really nice, but hasn't found a home yet, and kind of like a nice centerpiece in between my smaller turtles that I make for markets. Then we have a sleeping dragon. The other 2 sold at my spring markets, so I might make some more of those, but I haven't planned to bulk make them. But for now we have this one. Then we have a seahorse from last year, which really hasn't done all that well. And then we have a bigger octo, which is the final one that's left. And I don't plan to remake them in this size. This is the same pattern as my baby octo, where we will actually make a ton of, but this size doesn't really do all that well, so it will be just this one. Then let me lay out all of the ones that I actually want to bulk prep so I can take a picture and know what I have in stock. And it's really not all that much. So we have 4 Brontos, 3, but I wouldn't count this one, so 2 hoodie bears, 1 strawberry and 1 frog. Then 2 little cats, 1 purple penguin, a mallard, 2 chicks, and then 6 regular bees and 5 rainbow bees. So the bee week will be really easy because I want to make 30 of those and I have 11 in stock already. So that might really be the perfect week for my vacation week. So let me put those away and then we can pull out the mini bin, which should be a little more interesting because we have way more of those left. And in here, of course, we also have quite a lot of things that I threw in here after my market to make it easier to transport. So let me remove all of this. And now we can go through this bin. So we have some crates in here where we have the types of plushies separated out still. And then the rest of them is just thrown in here. So let me actually dump that as well to go through them. And now I need to sort all of them out. Okay, so mini plushies, we actually are still pretty stocked. So the most that we sold were mini penguins. So we have 25 left and some of the colors sold out super quick. So we had a darker purple, kind of like this, but just in purple, which sold super well, and then pink as well. So definitely want to stock up on those. But 25 left currently. Then 23 octos, which is also pretty good. Orange really seems to not be a super popular color because we still have so many of those. And green, I think, sold super well. And then also like different pinks and purples. So that's interesting. Then I think it's a good thing I don't want to make a ton of mini chicks with hats anymore. So we have 10, 20, 30, 38 left, and I think I prepped 50 of those. So those really haven't been all that popular, and there are actually like so many left that I'm thinking I might look for some other types of mini plushies to try out in the future. I make a couple of those and make less of these because like the fall and winter season isn't really the time for mini chicks with hats, but we shall see what I do. If you have any mini plushie patterns that you really like to make for my kids, let me know down below which ones you make. And then baby whales, we actually have 39 left, but I did end up making some more in between. So still all right, and these are like the quickest plushies to make. So I will definitely make them throughout the busy season. I already know that. These and then baby octos as well, I usually make at markets. So yeah, those are all the mini plushies that are left. Alright, so I've just counted it out and I have 105 mini plushies left. So with remaking some in between markets, at my 4 days of spring markets, I sold around 100 mini plushies. So with 20 days of fall and winter markets coming up, like kind of estimating that up to 20 days, that should be around 500 mini plushies if we keep selling them at the same rate. So definitely a good number to aim for. So yeah, around 400 to do, which is definitely kind of a lot. So we shall see, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it in July. Okay, so I'm currently editing this video and I realized I never actually told you what my current inventory amount is. So let me read that off to you because I just added that up. So with all of the items that I want to bulk prep for this new prep series. I have 986 euros and 50 cents still in my inventory. So that basically means that we need to prep just around 9,000 euros worth of bulk prep. And then I also added the one-off items that I showed you, like the big turtle, the chickens, the seahorse, and all of that. And with that added, my current inventory is at 1,126 euros and 50 cents. So that is everything that I currently have in my inventory. I just wanted to throw that in here because I realized I never actually told you guys that. But for now, next week, I will start by making turtles. I have a ton of turtle parts back at home because, as you saw in my inventory, I currently don't have any of them left. So we can really fulfill all of our turtle making dreams next week. I will leave a link to my Canva template down below for you guys that are interested in a market prep series like this. So let me know if you find that helpful. Let me know if you have any thoughts about my market prep. I know it's ambitious, but my big goal this year is to really break the cycle of under-preparing, stressing out, and burning out. So we shall see if that whole prep helps. I can't wait to see you guys next week for the start of this kind of challenge. So thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way until the end. I will see you guys again next week for another video. So until then, bye!